Welcome to Celebrating Everyday People. We were previously known as Malcolm and We, and we're back to recognize those amazing people doing amazing work out there. My co host is Malcolm Berman, and my name is Yana Larson. And you can find us on malcolmpresents.com and on Malcolm's YouTube. We also have a Facebook page and we're on Buzzsprout in all major directories and beyond as we enhance our online presence. Today, our guest is Michael Wayne. What has happened to democracy in the US and how can it be saved? This is a question many of us are asking, and our guest today has been working on this problem and this question. Michael Wayne is a filmmaker, writer slash author, and doctor. He is also an activist for a just society and world, a progressive and an advocate for economic democracy. In his own words, Dr. Wayne says, with Donald Trump once again ascending to the presidency and testing the limits of democracy, I decided I wanted to make a documentary film that looks at what democracy is, how it's defined, the roots of democracy, the periods in time when democracy flourished and struggled, and how things can be restored to the true promise of what democracy holds. The people interviewed Pulitzer Prize winners, journalists, authors, activists, constitutional scholars, and historians all provide depth and perspective on what it would take to realize the aspirations of democracy. So, Michael has been a guest of ours before, and we're so lucky to have him back again in our second season. And we could talk about all the change making work he does. But today, we're concentrating in our 20 or so minutes on the subject of democracy and his film, How to Save Democracy, so we can get the word out because we're hoping our viewing and listening audiences will help Dr. Wayne bring this film to more people. Welcome, Michael. Let's do this.
Thank you, Jana. I'm all for it. And thank you, Malcolm,
Yeah,
for the guest.
yeah,
I'm all
we're
for doing
certainly
it.
we're certainly in a need for something.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because it's our opportunity to build something better.
Well, I every day when I look at watch TV and have the news on and listen to just one more maddening thing, I just want to throw anything at the TV. But of course, I stop myself and I think, why aren't more people upset?
Yeah, Americans have gotten complacent. They just it's like the old analogy of boiling the frog in water. Just you slowly raise the temperature, the frog never realized it. So here in the United States, it's the same thing. I mean, people are more and more people getting outraged by the daily horrors. And but at the same time, people feel there's a certain level of powerlessness, even though people are standing up and resisting, which is important and really good, because in the United States, democracy has not realized its true aspiration. And instead, the US population is removed from the levers of power. And so it makes a lot of people cynical and apathetic, which is one reason among many that the United States has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, voter turnout of any democracy in the world. I mean, you take a country like Australia where voting is compulsory, mandatory. In the United States, obviously not, but if we get 60% of the electorate turning out for to vote, that's considered great. And Donald Trump, I think, was elected in last November, with something like 30% of the electorate, a little less than 30%, something somewhere around that. So it's not even the majority of people voting him in.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing. I think the American, again, I don't know who the American public is, but I think they're more concerned about prices. I think what's going to kill him is, what he's promised to reduce inflation and costs, and that hasn't happened.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, Trump is a master salesman, and so when he was running in last year and saying, "I'm going to reduce prices, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that," of course, none of that was true.
But
But
but but it's funny, excuse me, but it's funny because people believe it's. I think there's a mandatory reading should be 1984
mhm,
because
yeah,
the whole thing that he has is doublethink. You tell something long, you tell a lie many times, and people believe it.
And you
yeah,
have certain phrases that they all agree to repeat word verbatim, you know. And you
mhm,
hear it here and you hear it here and you hear it here, you start to think, oh, that's something. I mean, if you're even paying that much attention.
uh-huh, yeah. Well, one of the things, you mentioned my film, my recent documentary, How to Save Democracy, Jana. One of the things I point out in the film is that Donald Trump didn't create this. So as much as we might be horrified by him, the reality is whenever he's gone from the scene, the political scene, it's not like the light switch goes on, the skies open up, everything's blue, this bird
The
sing.
angels come out, the birds sing, and yeah,
It's it,
it's not going to be that.
it's there's a lot that has to be redone or done properly because this has been a many decade effort to just change democracy and for the most part overturn democracy
Yeah.
because to a certain demographic, political demographic, and the people who lead that political demographic, democracy was getting in the way of their
Yeah.
needs.
When we were
The
talking about people from the Heritage Society, the people who did 2025. This has all been planned out for decades. It's not something that's
Uh, yeah.
and they're sort of writing on the back of Trump. I don't know if he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's just a beneficiary. He's more a kleptocrat and a wannabe autocrat who just has always run a organization that he's called all the shots. So this fits him well, and he also sees his ability to put his hands in the cookie jar and steal as many cookies for himself and then claim no cookies have been stolen. But yeah, this iteration, this what's going on traces back to I think it's 1971 when Lewis Powell, who went on to become a Supreme Court justice, wrote the Powell memo, which talked about the need for mostly Republicans or the corporate world to start setting the agenda that they were not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is making profits, and there should be deregulation and downsizing of government. And then Powell was named to the Supreme Court, and that became the march. It picked up when Ronald Reagan got elected president, and then picked up even more over the last 20 years. And then the real unraveling began in 2010 when Citizens United, um, the Supreme Court's ruling on Citizens United, allowing a flood of dark money that no one would have to say what the sources were for, to start influencing elections.
Well, maybe this would be a good time for you to show your trailer, and
Uh,
then we could discuss the important points that you want to point out
okay.
then.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thanks for
And if we go over 20 minutes, that's okay. Because this is important.
yeah, the trailer's 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's no.
So here we go. Um,
Oh, I love the graphics.
Are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now.
The base of the Republican Party now does not believe in elections or democracy.
The problems of our democracy predate Donald Trump, and they will go on long after he's gone from the political scene.
There has to be an understanding that far too many people are afraid. They are fearful.
We have problems, obviously. There would not be so many discontented people in the country if we didn't have problems. But they're not being articulated as problems in a way that would allow us to solve them.
And we believe a truly just democracy is a democracy where it's people first and not billionaires and not corporate money, flooding our electoral system.
There were 13 billionaires in 1980, and now there are 783. So there was an explosion of money rushing to the top. And at the same time, the standard of living of the average worker stalled and actually went down a little bit. So the gap became obscene.
Our system has been broken. It's not that the system simply is broken. It's that it has been broken intentionally by those who wish to seek and hold power with a minority of votes.
You see something that is not right, not just, not fair. You have a moral obligation to set something, to do something. Our children and their children will ask us, what did you do? What did you say?
People are eager for a more just egalitarian democracy. And so I think we are very close and we just need to keep fighting.
And when I travel the country talking to voters about their frustrations about democracy, although people are fed up with the current state of politics, people still believe in something better.
The roots of modern democracy are indigenous.
Without a sense of the sacred in the human, we can't sustain a democracy.
Wow.
Very good, very good.
How long is the film?
Okay. Oh, what's that?
How long is the film?
The film is 116 minutes.
And you've been having a lot of success showing it around at different venues, having sold out, not sold out, but well, I don't know if you're charging money, but you're having big crowds attending.
Yeah, I've done free screenings, paid screenings at colleges. Yeah, and then usually, as long as I'm there, which has been most of the screenings, we do a question and answer after, and the film generally gets standing ovations at the end.
Yeah,
I can see why.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Just the trailer.
Well, I think a problem is people don't know what democracy means, what it is, because we don't have a true democracy here. We have a representative democracy.
You're very right, Malcolm. We have a democratic republic. Some people say, oh, we don't have a democracy, we have a republic. We have a democratic republic, a constitutional republic. It's an indirect democracy. And that's what I was saying earlier, that people feel removed from the process. A true democracy is a direct democracy and also a participatory democracy where people have more input, and through councils, through citizens' assemblies. Nowadays, we have tools for digital democracy and crowdsourcing. If in the trailer at the very end, I had a woman, Michelle Shenandoah, say the roots of democracy are indigenous. So American democracy, the American Constitution, was inspired by the Haudenosaunee people, the Iroquois, and their constitution, which talked about decisions are made by consensus, which talked about we're all related, so we take care of the least of us, and also specified all decisions are made with 7 generations in mind. And so the founding fathers, number of them, Jefferson, Washington, Franklin, all knew the Haudenosaunee people, visited with them, and Franklin brought them into the Albany Council in 1754, and so those ideas were somewhat incorporated into the Constitution, except the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution, more believed that the rights were about property, property rights first and
And
foremost.
who can own property, which clearly weren't, for example, women or the indigenous people.
Right. Yeah. And the United States had slaves for the first 80 years of its.
And when women weren't allowed to own property, as far as I can remember.
Right. They didn't vote. They didn't have property. I mean, it was only 1920 that women were given the right to vote through a constitutional amendment.
Which
And in,
actually it's just 125 years ago,
Yeah.
105 years ago.
and
Yeah.
an indigenous perspective is that no one can own the land.
Yeah. When you come down to it. Yeah.
That's what I like with the indigenous people when we've had them on the show or other shows I've had. It's they are caretakers of the land. They don't feel they own it. They have to take care of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so democracy is not a Western concept. It didn't come out of, some historians say, oh, the ideas of democracy first were developed in Athens, the city-state of Athens, and then the Magna Carta and the Enlightenment, the European Enlightenment. But these ideas of democracy go far back to indigenous cultures with their councils, with consensus. So it was always not a vote and majority rule, but a consensus where people could come together and talk about it and then work out solutions.
Well, we won't really have a democracy until we have a popular vote.
Well, yeah, then we have those problems too that they for president.
We have a lot of problems, is what I would say. So, given that, how do we start?
So in the trailer, there are two themes that are shown, two main themes. One that certain, as I said, certain public Republicans. I mentioned Lewis Powell, but Republicans have been trying to change democratic values in the United States since at least, well, since the beginnings of since 1971. Say we won't keep going back. Um, and then the second theme is voter suppression through, let's say, gerrymandering, a systematic approach to change how people voted because it was understood when the majority voted that the United States voted more for socially liberal ideas like, pro-choice or, climate, do something about climate change or gun control. The majority of people are for many issues. I don't even want to call them liberal. They're just common sense
Yeah.
things. But so this radical gerrymander began in 2010. Um, famously, when Mitt Romney lost the election in 2012, the Republican Party did their post-mortem of the election, where we went wrong, and they started talking about we need to make a bigger tent. We need to look at immigration and make common sense immigration laws and all these things. But they did not. They went the opposite way. Instead, just went to suppress the vote. And so after radical gerrymandering, the second part of suppressing the vote was when the Supreme Court in 2013 made their decision that eviscerated the Voting Rights Act. And the Voting Rights Act was a landmark legislation from 1965 that took away poll taxes and literacy tests and said that if a state wanted to finagle voting and who can vote, they had to get pre-clearance from the federal government. So in 2013, the federal government, the Supreme Court took away the pre-clearance part of the Voting Rights Act, and then states could do whatever they want, which is what is happening now. So states are making it harder to vote. Some states now have voter ID, lines are long, that people can't be drinking water or no one can bring people water and all these.
Well, the big thing now coming up on the 26th election is the redistricting,
Right.
which
Yeah.
will give the Republican voters more representation in the House.
Right. And so this started in 2010. and now, yeah, to take it one step further. So Republicans would not have a majority in the House of Representatives if the radical gerrymandering didn't begin in 2010. So it's it makes it very difficult for any sort of um, legislation that helps people to be passed.
Yeah. But any of that, Michael, believe it or not, we've used our 20 minutes.
Oh,
We
time
can
flies.
continue more.
Do you
Where
have
can we contact, where can they contact you or see the movie or how to get it?
Um, the website is, I could put that in the chat, or no, people wouldn't see the chat.
Well, yeah, send me the information
Okay.
and I'll include that with everything, but you can also say it too, and then hopefully
Yeah,
people.
I will. The website for the film is savingdemocracyfilm.com. The film's only been out and screening for a couple of months, so it'd probably be early next year when we start going public, like the public can see it. I'm waiting on a distributor's made an offer. I'm deciding if I want to take it, and they'll be putting it online. If not, I'll be putting it online. So then it'll be available for everybody, the general public, to see anywhere, whether on their TV sets or
Okay, so but in the meantime, so you have these screenings that you offer that you're at, and then you also encourage that people can host their own screening parties. So, or I don't know, I'll call it a party, get together. So that's a one way too. And so that's a way to get the word out. So local, I mean, I know I tried to get it out in my church and there were copyright issues, but colleges don't have that problem. So I don't understand.
oh, no, there's no issues.
Okay, well
I
then
am,
I'm gonna just take that back and say, "Oh, wait a minute, you're telling me that there's copyright issue, there's no copyright issue. So what's the reason?"
yeah.
Okay, I just learned a little something, so
And
I'm gonna
that was a Unitarian Universalist church, right? Yeah,
yes,
yeah. So
yes.
I've known it at a few UU churches.
I'm gonna up my game then and go back over with more fervor with that.
So I'll just add, if someone is interested in hosting the film, it's when you go on the website, savingdemocracyfilm.com, you can click on host a
Oh,
screen.
you can also just look up how to save democracy and all kinds of things come up too. So there are lots of ways to find the information if one is so inclined. And
Yeah.
I hope people will be. Do you have any closing brilliant thought for us, Dr.
Uh,
Michael?
well, I think it's all hands on deck. People need to resist, and we need to realize that things like I mentioned, like participatory democracy, things like citizens' assemblies, and people are starting to realize this, and there's movements across the country for this. So there's hope, and we want to create a system that works for everyone. That's the ultimate answer. So that's the good thing about
Work
what's going
done. Do you have a team that's helping you, or are you just like a
just
man?
myself, my wife, who's my
Your
assistant
wife,
producer.
yes,
Yeah, so it's
for your lovely wife.
two-person operation. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm wondering
okay.
if there's a way when you're ready that we could do a Malcolm present the film and find a
Oh,
way that people don't, give donations or something.
yeah.
Creating a
Yeah, so that's what I'm waiting to decide with the distributor, because the distributor will control all digital rights, but if I don't go with the distributor, then I can do whatever I want. But I can do, even with the distributor, I can do in-person screenings, but digital screenings, that's where I'm not sure if that's where I want to go. But that's a great idea, Malcolm, and we
Yeah,
can.
because I know we could do live screenings where live on the air and you could comment on it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Call in and question you.
Uh-huh.
Dude, we'll have to figure that out. I think Malcolm might have to get more techie. I'll definitely have to get more techie, and or we have to have
Oh
it
yeah,
techie.
no, we have to have but I'm thinking like the beginning of the year.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll get.
I've done that with some people where they were too far away for me to make it worthwhile to travel, but they showed the film and
Ooh,
I
new
zoomed in
goal, and
afterwards.
No,
we'll
no,
do that.
you could be available like you are now on
Yeah.
Zoom,
Yeah, I've done that
and
already.
we could have calls coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, Malcolm and I are going now that we're really excited, because now I'm even more excited.
And the timing is right before the 26 elections.
Yeah, I'll probably do a lot of trainings next year.
Right. And midterms and all that kind of thing. But anyway, all right. So I guess we are done. Thank you so much, Dr.
Good.
Michael, for
Janice. Thank
being
you, Mike.
here.
Malcolm.
And like I say, I'll add all the additional information to all the places that I can. And to our viewing and listening public, remember to like, share, and follow us. And you can leave us a message at malcolmpresents.com if you have questions or comments.
At
So,
gmail.com.
well, if that works, but that's another issue, Malcolm. So, goodbye from Malcolm and me on celebrating everyday people.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks again, Michael.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Jenna. Yeah, bye.
And now we have the closing music, which we don't have yet. Bye.
Oh.
Just, give us a number.